Hey, everybody, this is your girl, Terri Green, and it is my pleasure to welcome to the Green Room one of the most influential and interesting human beings I've ever met. And so it's my honor and pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Wayne Vaughn to the show. Wayne, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for chiming in this morning here and that evening over there. It's like a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's 8 p.m. here in Germany, but by you in Los Angeles, you are sitting in a tropical scene over in Los Angeles, and there's a lot going on with you. I know you've already been up since 6 a.m. doing stuff. And
Yeah, it's been one of those mornings.
first of all, for those of you who don't know Wayne Vaughn, what I try to do is let you tell your story the way you want to tell it because we're putting history together. Just we need to have this on tape because people are trying to erase some of the things we've done in this world. And so, Wayne, introduce yourself. Just tell us a little bit about early Wayne Vaughn and where you came from.
Well, I'm one of the LAans, if you will, born and raised, first generation parents from Arkansas. So I have a little country in me,
Yes, you do.
just enough country to make it keep it pure because the South has a correlation to what we do now. That's probably why I live in LA, which is Southern California.
Hmm.
And basically was a child growing up here and got into music at a early age, like third grade, messing around with the flute. And then 13, started messing around with the piano and continued my education around all the talented musicians that LA had to offer at that time with, a lot of, put it like this, almost everybody that I hung out with, if we were college bound, everybody went into the NBA or the NFL or to become Olympian. Patrice Rushen and Charles Mims, Reggie Andrews and Ndugu, and Wanda and I all had top 10 records, and we were in a 5 mile square radius. The thing about it is, you have to start from the upper left hand corner in our day. And I give the credit to the youngsters that came up after us to develop their sampling or however they could get the music out. It was in them. They heard the music, but they had taken what I had, third grade, playing flute. That didn't exist in the school system anymore. I can't knock, a lot of us musicians, we were not too kind to the beginning of hip hop
Of
or the
course.
beginning of rap. We were
Yes.
like, that'll last for
My
like
father as
3 weeks.
well. Yeah.
No, that'll last for 3 weeks. And then we were going on the charts and hip hop took over the R&B charts, which we came from. So
Mhm.
you can't be mad at it. It is what it is. It happened. But the good thing about it, all the youth, when they were first getting into it, who were they sampling? James Brown, Parliament Funkadelic, all the stuff that we had
Bootsy
been on the
Collins.
road with. Bootsy,
Patrice
hey,
Rushen.
for Trees Russians, everybody. Wait a minute, a bunch of my songs got sampled, and then when a couple of extra royalty checks came in, I said,
Who did this?
wait a minute. You guys, it was one on Men in Black, Will Smith and them sampled. I didn't even know they had sampled it.
What song was that?
My boys gave it to me. Oh, wait a minute, let me think. Because Patrice had they sampled "Forget Me Nots" on that
Right, I
one,
remember that. Right.
and I don't even know what my song is called. Something special,
Mm.
maybe, but they flipped it to called "Big Willie Style."
Ah,
Well, I
gotcha.
only
I
heard
know
the
that
song.
song.
I don't. I only heard it like one time. They gave me the cassette. I said, okay. I never even listened to it.
Mm.
But the thing about it is, it was on the same record as
And you know
the
what that sold.
so wait. I said, you little rappers, you might need some more music. So my catalog is open to anybody that want to sample it, but sample it with permission. So we all participate in the copyright. That's
Right.
all. Everybody,
Right.
as the kids used to say, oh, we just want to get paid.
Right.
Yeah,
Let's talk about your personal life. So we all people may not know this, but you're married to Wanda. Wanda is
yes.
actually one of the original members, founding members of the Emotions. Tell us how that came about, because I that story is crazy.
Well, Juan and I were on tour together. 1978, the
Great year.
um the famous George Faison had just did the Earth, Wind and Fire tours. He choreographed the Wiz. So he was doing our shows for
Hmm.
78. Brothers Johnson, the band I was in,
Oh my
and
God, I
the
love Brothers
Emotions.
Johnson. Jesus Christ. Good to You
Well,
is my record, just so you know.
okay, well, good to you. And I was a get the funk out my face
Get the
all
funk
day
out of
long.
my face. You stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Come on, women, women. And then our first tour, we were out with Parliament Funkadelic,
Mm,
Bootsy Collins, Hamilton Bohannon, and then the list goes on in terms of opening for Graham Central Station,
that's
Rufus, because Rufus and I, we were in the same management company
right.
with Fitzgerald Hartley. But to go back to how Wanda and I met, we were basically road mates. We had a Earth, Wind, and Fire's airplane, and we would go to all the private airports, and that's how we were doing a whole tour. We were out on tour for 6 weeks, and it was a beautiful thing. And I really didn't talk to Wanda or any of the Emotions, for
Mm.
that matter, even though we're on the same plane. We just, hey, hi, how you guys? Okay. And Wanda and I started talking during the tour a little bit. We always said we're going to hook up after the shows and do that. But by the, like I said, I had stopped wilding out. So I would only go to my room, play chess with one of the boys, have some wine, burn some incense, and get up the next morning to go work out and go to the next gig. So
Now
that's all
you
I did.
now
So,
Wayne, you do know burning incense in hotels today is illegal.
but you know what? I don't really burn incense anymore. But guess what? That, see, the road, why I stopped traveling the road, because I give up 24 hours of my day. The road is a 24-hour job. It's not, oh, we got 3 gigs this week. No, no,
Please
no,
tell
no.
them. Please tell
And
them. Please.
my relationship with home and business at home was amazingly no nonsense. So the fact that when we finished the gig, I couldn't go home, I couldn't eat my food,
Oh,
I would scream. We would get the biggest T-bones. I would say, I just want some food cooked with love in it. It was
right.
horrible in terms of, I'm a cuisine man.
I know.
Couldn't find good food. You living in these hotels, at least everything of the Brothers Johnson tour that year with the Emotions, it couldn't be any better. It
Right.
was top drawer. It wasn't the Chitlin circuit. And I was complaining. So what happened with Wanda and I, all the whole tour, the 6 weeks, we kept saying, we're going to get together, we're going to get together. Wanda and I started talking. I say, well, I have some tracks. And Wanda say, well, I have some lyrics. And I say, well, I have some melodies. And she said, well, I have some melodies. Well, I have
Awesome.
some hooks. Well, I have some hooks. Okay, let's get together. And Wanda was good friends with the most talented Skip Scarborough. Don't Ask My Neighbors,
Oh,
Can't Hide Love,
oh,
Lovely Day, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on and on and on. What a difference the true love made. Mother's Fine. And Skip was a most prolific, great guy. So he was already Wanda's friend. Skip became my friend. And the first song Wanda and I penned, Deliver the Funk, went on Patti LaBelle. The
wow.
second song we penned, Reasons Why, went on Aretha Franklin.
Wow.
And so that's how Juan and I first started to get together.
That's right.
It
I did
was
not know that.
in the studio 13 hours a day, every day, Monday through Sunday, every day. There was not a thing. We started. So let's go back. Let me go back to getting those things together. And I would tell Wanda, well, I ain't never getting married.
Okay. And
Wanda went, I ain't never getting married either.
wow.
But hers was more of a, let me see, because this guy sounds like he really ain't gonna get married. I
Right.
thought, but my lovely mother, she thought Wanda was the gym. And one day, after Wanda and I decided to, like, okay, we're gonna hook up, we were both going to Europe
Mm.
for whatever. And we had taken a blood test. So you had to take a blood test back then. And we found out that the blood test would have expired by the time our wedding date. We took the blood test too
All
soon.
right to get married, right.
And I said, because back then I didn't like drawing blood and none of that stuff. I was not happy. So I said, um, I ain't taking no more blood tests. That's out. So we're at the studio, but I'm back in the den playing backgammon. I think with my brother. But Wanda goes in the living room with my mom and goes, well, Wednesday we did the blood test and everything. We ain't going to do another blood test and everything. And my mom went, girl, you can get married any day of the week. This was a Friday.
Wow.
We were going to get married on December 15th. But this was a Friday, August 16th. And my mom goes, go get the yellow pages. So the yellow pages were sitting under the backgammon table.
You
So
remember,
Wanda just comes in, gets the yellow. I've seen her take yellow pages was this
it
big
used
back
to be a
then.
huge Bible, yeah.
Wanda gets the yellow pages, never saying anything. Goes back in the living room with mom. I'm back there, so I'm like, boy, might have dodged a bullet. Mom went and found a wedding chapel on 6th and La Brea. She say, well, y'all can get married today.
And there it
So
was.
that morning when I woke up, I didn't know that night when I went to bed
You
I would
be
be married. And that's a literal. And now that was 1979 to 2000, whatever year this is.
25. Wow. You
So
have
so we got together and had a bunch of, as they would say back in the South, a bunch of cheering,
wonderful.
and and the rest is history,
So
people.
I'm gonna give you three or four artists that I admire and I think are incredible, and you tell me what your in a very short sentence what you felt about them as an artist and an
Mm-hmm.
individual. Michael Jackson.
Michael, of course, extremely talented. I ran into Michael first time. He was about 14.
Wow.
At my first concert ever, because the only concert that I went to was the Lighthouse and Shelley's Manhole to see, Thelonious Monk and Herbie Hancock and Lee Morgan.
Mm.
Okay, so Sly playing at the Forum. The Forum, big, 20,000 seats. My first time. I walk in with a stereo cassette.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taping. My girlfriend, my first baby's mama, um, and I were at the Forum, and here's Michael, Tito, Jackie, the whole in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And she was looking at Michael like a little puppy. Oh, he's so cute. Oh, Michael. And they were just chilling. We were all sitting right in the same area. Then, after a few more times, I met Michael. We did something on Jennifer Holliday, Dreamgirls, and
Mm.
and we were kicking it. And matter of fact, before that, when Quincy was just about to record Michael, Heat Wave had just come out
Oh, I love
with
Heat.
Boogie Nights
Ooh,
and all of that. And for me, it's like once again, jazz and that Boogie Nights was an old school kind of
Rod
song, old
Temperton,
R&B.
man.
Rod Temper's a bad boy, but I was like, Q Boogie Nights. He said, man,
That
no, wait,
was,
this dude is bad. Wait a minute, Q, because Q had vision. I mean, Q was like, when Strawberry Letter came out, I was like, Q.
wow,
I was on
wow,
another
wow.
song, but Q could smell hits. So I was basically learning and smelling stuff from him. So when Michael was hanging out with us that night at the Dreamgirls thing, I mean, he was such a sweetheart and cool guy with me. My times of meeting Michael, we was everybody was on Michael.
Right.
I'm over in another spot of the room. I mean, Liberace was there. Everybody, Liberace with no makeup on.
Wow.
Everybody was at this Dreamgirls, the Schubert Theater. I'm sitting over on the side. Michael comes over because everybody's in tuxes. We all black tie. Michael comes over in a red leather jacket and something. Over his face, everywhere on his face was lipstick. Not one spot. All the women were kissing Michael when he came in. So we started talking, and Michael said, "Oh, I like your suit.
I
Oh, I
like
like your suit." You know, I didn't want to say, Mike, this is a tux, my brother. But no,
So I got
yeah,
another artist for you, Prince.
Prince. We knew Prince before he was Prince.
I spoke with Ray Parker Jr., who I met through Randy Hall, and they used to run around LA back in the 80s, so they told me a lot of stories. And I am a huge fan of one song in particular, two places at the same time. So when I
Mm.
mentioned that, he said, "What song do you like?" I said, "Two play." He said, "That's not one people usually say, but it's strange." He said, "Why did you pick that song?" Race. I said, "Well, first I followed everything, but what was interesting is that I was a huge Prince first album fan. So I sat there not with music lessons and I figured out how to do backings by listening to how I thought Prince came to these harmonies. I didn't know what a harmony was, but I just took a
All right.
cassette and I kept putting it in one, trying to figure out how to make my voice do that. And he said to me, "Do you know his first setup?" He came to me and I went and showed him how to put his one of his big studios together when he first got money to put a studio together out in LA. I said, "But what I heard, Ray, I could hear the influence of the guitar sound. There's something that he did that I heard in your two places at the same time." He's like, "Get out of here." I said, "I'm not a music. I heard it." He said, "Terry, it's accurate that he was running
Hey,
around all of you, all of them, and he kind of put it all together."
we were over at Hollywood Sound. Bob Cavallo brought him out, and Maurice Prince gave Wanda a cassette that I wish I knew that cassette. It was we put the I put we in it. We were driving. Put the cassette in.
Hmm.
I said, "Who the what the?" It was bad, funky, and we were recording an emotion record. But
Mm.
Maurice did not want to do that song. Maurice, so we just put it on the shelf. I mean, that cassette might be still in my studio to
Wow.
this day. I don't know where it is, but Prince was borderlining of like a genius kind of a vibe. Um, Combination of James Brown and Sly.
Perfect combination. Yeah.
Well, no, if it wasn't for them, I mean, I don't know where Prince would have
Right.
gone. He
But you
was
can hear
definitely a
both
very
influences in
talented.
his music.
Oh no, I hit and give all due respect and Prince as well. He had Prince, but the major influences that when we got to Prince and we're like, okay, who is this? But no, we had met Prince and very quiet individual. He was quiet around me anyway.
Mhm.
And when we were at the complex, he brought Vanity Six.
Oh, wow. I remember that
Well,
time. Okay, so here's my last artist from my trio, Whitney Houston.
Whitney, great singer, model. Her first record was with,
Kashif was on that, I think, right?
no, no,
Kashif?
no. Before that,
Oh,
she was with Pharoah Sanders in another group called Material
oh,
on a
you going way
label.
back. You know the Whitney Houston before the Whitney Houston.
Listen, I told you, I met a lot of cats before they were who they became. A lot. They were running across me. How Whitney Houston ran across me, Bruce Lundvall had called me to produce her first record. And it was going to be more of a jazz kind of thing. He gave me two records, one Material and one Pharoah Sanders, and Whitney was on them.
Mm,
Then I get a call to go to the Hollywood Vine Street Bar and Grill, and every music producer in town was there.
mm,
And Whitney's mom, Sissy, and her aunt Dion was there, and Clive Davis was there, and Clive introduced her. I didn't know that Clive had ripped her off from Bruce and signed her right under his nose and said, I want to introduce you to the next great star. And Whitney began to sing nothing but top 40. She didn't have a song.
mm.
And that was it. And there was everybody. So I just one producer. And not he was I can't think of his name. Anyway, he worked for Arista. And I had a song and they wanted to record, but I said, oh, if I ain't producing it, I'm gonna take my song.
Correct.
Everybody listening to this interview, that was a mistake. Of a lot of the things that I do, there are few mistakes, but I do make mistakes
Oh,
as
that's touching,
everyone.
man. That's
And if you don't produce the song, you can always take your song and produce it yourself after somebody else makes it a smash. So we heard the record when it first came out. We was all over to the thing. We said, this record will do like 100,000 copies.
mm-mm.
You know, we just listened to it. Because don't forget, Clive took her a whole other direction to where the music was going at that time.
Right.
And if you wasn't funking back then,
You weren't no you wasn't it.
not only wait a minute, I didn't even want to hear it anyway. If you're not funking, I'm like, and this pop stuff and these
Yeah.
ballads and you know, I'm
Hmm.
more of a gotta
Yes.
be spanker linking. It
Hmm.
gotta be some groove. It gotta be some this.
But
And
like you
Whitney
said, you
came out.
learned you that you said you made a mistake not giving that record because someone else might have reinterpreted maybe it musically, production wise,
Yes,
but it would have still been
yes,
your heart, your lyric, your
yes.
and I write with Stephen H. Dorff,
Mm-hmm,
the son,
mm-hmm,
not the son, but the dad. He taught me a
mm-hmm.
lot about songwriting, and he got on that first album with Take Good Care of My Heart. And he said to me, Terry, when I sit to the piano, I said, I hear you. And it made me understand the soul that you have because it wasn't an R&B soul. But when Steve sits to his grand piano, we used to be out in Malibu, I could hear him sway around to a place that people don't even get to come anymore. Like it just gave me
Mm-hmm.
chills, kids running and talking while we trying to listen. And he was
That's
like,
the key. Keep it real.
he kept it. He was eating a piece of fried chicken in his hand. No, no joke. And the first visit I ever made, and Tia Carrera was living next door. It's like all these celebrity people. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm never impressed by money. I'm always impressed by the human being, because all that comes and goes or stays. But I'm good with that. But if you're not connecting, then it doesn't work.
You
And
gotta, yeah.
and he sat to the grand piano and started playing me, "Take Good Care of Your Heart." Then he started playing through the years that he wrote for Kenny Rogers. And I said, damn, that was a part of my life, learning your melodies were in my head. So that's what people in your league have done for writers who came along shortly thereafter, even probably even more recently, as Lizzo even, they have grabbed from all of these. I guarantee you Lizzo knows Don't Ask My Neighbor. I guarantee you
Yeah. Well,
Beyonce
what?
plays all them
Yeah.
records at home. So it's
Well, Beyonce and them, like, they were trying to cop the emotions with their group. Um, I used to run into the boy that started the group in Vogue. We were at Carlos and Charlie's over in Sunset. And he saw me there one night. He said, I got a girl group and I'm trying to cop the emotion sound. I mean, people would come
telling
to
you
me,
that.
different stuff. I mean, Lil Silas over at MCA
Awesome.
Records, different things. I mean, I would run into everybody, but I didn't hang with nobody.
That's
So
what you
I would
said.
go, okay, yeah, man. But if I see him out somewhere, we, hey, man, what's happening?
Yeah.
But but
My
yeah,
late, my
Whitney
late,
Houston
she
was
was
was was amazingly a bad girl,
mhm.
and it's like
Gone
you
too
mentioned
soon.
three.
Gone way
Well,
too
you mentioned
soon.
three people that all gone too soon, and I would really have liked to seen for them to all have lived to like Quincy or Tony Bennett or
Yes, our industry would be
something
different. They it
something
would
like that.
before we now we're gonna go to the to the highlight. This man has created one of the greatest songs of all time, one that I probably played about a billion times, so I probably gave you a few coins in your pocket because I played it on repeat. But never in my life, there were three groups. There was Commodores, there was Heat Wave, there was Cameo, DeBarge, means Switch, not DeBarge, but Switch,
Yeah.
and it was the Gap Band and Earth, Wind and Fire, which included the emotions because I was studying in
Hmm.
Florida in 80
Hmm.
degrees trying to figure out how to sing. You wrote with Maurice White, Let's Groove Tonight. Please tell us that story.
Well, like I said, we're going back to that 4 track, those 13 hours a day.
Sure.
Okay, 13 hours minimum a day, and Let's Groove was not written for Earth, Wind, and Fire. Matter of fact, any of those songs that I did, matter of fact, I was not writing for Earth, Wind, and Fire. I was doing an emotion record. We was over at Hollywood Sound. This is another time after we had met Prince over at Hollywood Sound when Cavallo had Prince and Perry Jones. Prince had come through a whole conglomerate of cats that were very near and dear to Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Hmm.
So that's how Prince, the Earth, Wind, and Fire connection happened. And we're in the studio, and Maurice goes, "Hey, Wayne,
You got
you,
everybody's voice.
you got any tunes for the fire?" And I went, "Now we're doing Coming to My World album." And I go, Reese, I think I got some tunes for the fire. Okay. So I gave him a cassette with 4 tunes. We cut 3, and they were basically finished with the whole record. So they had to take records off to put my songs on. And we went and polished them up. But yeah, basically, people that had heard the demo of Let's Groove, they went, "Is that you singing?" I say, "Boy, I can't sing like that. What are you talking about?" But the melodic, the harmonies, the vibe, we brought that into Reese,
Mm.
Wanda and I, because Wanda wrote on that song as well.
Get out.
Wanda, the lines glide like a 747. That's Wanda.
What? Don't nobody. And see, this is what gets why we need to talk about artists who are not singularly singers or singularly just like people think of the emotions. It was three women, you stood them over here, people gave them a whole lot of songs, and they don't know Wanda, who I got to get on it one more. Wanda was an incredible songwriter. I learned that from research
Wanda,
and through you and from, just knowing, looking in the in the sleeves, but
right,
they
right.
don't
Well,
know
don't
she
forget
wrote Let's Groove Tonight, no part of it.
when you look at the album credits on that, there was a person on there called Miss Pluto as Wanda.
Miss Pluto is Wanda. Wow. So
Yeah,
y'all
so
heard it
that's
here.
Wanda.
Wanda helped
So
co-write Let's Groove Tonight.
here's
Like a
the thing,
747. And you.
Wanda. Well, here's the thing. A lot of those songs, Let's Groove, started in that studio that I'm telling you about. That if I had ears on it, how many musicians came into that studio
Hmm.
who came to town for the first time to come to that studio in the hood in South Central LA?
Wow.
That would be that's a whole nother story. That studio literally could be a museum from the Jacksons over there, the Commodores over there, Earth, Wind and Fire over there, Betty Wright over there,
Wow.
um, um, David Porter over there. It's like if I had an autograph wall, it would be unbelievable. But yeah, Les Groove came up just one day. I'm in the studio this particular day. I'm in there alone. And first of all, I came up with the bass line, the chords.
Do, 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 da, da, dum, da. Nay, that was you
That
all
was
by
the first
yourself.
thing to record. Well, the melody, all that was all already given. They helped
Wow.
with the lyrics. The melodic was the key, and then the Let's Groove Tonight part. Wanda had that on a piece of paper, the slice of life. I mean, Reese put that in together, but that song "Wanna Be With You" and the song "My Love," "Wanna Be With You." I had written that. I thought that song was going to be the big song. That song is a composition. Let's Groove was a jam. Want
Les
to be?
Groove is still kicking everywhere. I have never been to a country and not heard it. Never. China, Moscow, I mean Russia,
Yeah.
Ukraine, Australia. There's no place on the earth where that song did not take your South Central song.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, I have seen it on the statements, and I go, wow. We were one night about 2:30 in the morning in the rainforest in Brazil. Okay. Hold on. Are we back? That was here we go. That Terri. Oh, okay. I'll
I
I'll
got
go
you.
back to that. No, that was my granddaughter hitting me right then.
That,
My 2-year old.
oh, it's 2 years old. Okay.
She hits me on FaceTime.
Oh Lord.
So she just hit me while we were talking. But we were in the middle of a rainforest, in the Atlantic rainforest in Pettigrew. And we're shopping, getting some stuff. And Les Groove came on. And my boys that was with me, they said, I don't believe this. I mean, I didn't believe you talking about the most remote. It would almost be like, you know, it would be like if we were in a
Yeah.
rainforest with the pygmies or something. It
Wow.
was like way, 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 way out of where we were supposed to be and wherever. But that song, I must say, it has saved the day more than once, more than
I,
twice, 3 times the lady, because you can't plan that.
no.
That was, and I can't take credit for that. The way that song came, it came channeled through me to that. When the first lyrics of that song, I got on the mic. I had a 414 mic. I got on the mic, and that first lyric, it was like, oh, that was a freestyle.
I'd write like that all the time.
Wait a minute, that
Sometimes
was a freestyle.
that's
That's one of the best
crazy.
ways.
That's how
But
I write. Like that's crazy that you said it. And often the line will be good where they'll go, "Do you remember it?" If I didn't write it, I'm done. Like I won't
if you
remember it.
didn't write it or you didn't record it, That, like Eric Dolphy say, a bad solo, it goes up in the air. If you're not recording it, it goes up in the
Record it.
air into the universe,
Hmm.
and it's coming out of the universe. So God channeled that through me because He answered my prayers.
Mm.
My prayer was when I was with the Brothers Johnson, seeing how the brothers was writing all these songs, and the dough was coming in. I said, now that's how you do it. That's how you do it. I prayed. I prayed on two things. I said, okay, I'm tired of this road. So I'm gonna pray for a
Well,
wife.
that took you off. That did it.
Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. I'm gonna pray for a wife and I'm gonna pray for a song that
Wow.
everyone knows. I didn't say a 10 songs. I didn't say a million songs. I said a song.
Wow, you did it, brother.
And then once that one song came, unfortunately for me, I get bored easily. I started moving on to other stuff. I
Right.
mean, I'm always reinventing the wheel. So it could be music, it could be fashion design, it could be cooking, it could be
Wow.
health and wellness, it could be, but everything reverts back to music.
Right.
When I do my real estate deals, anything, buying a house, I buy a house just like producing a record.
Right. My
Okay?
son,
It's the same thing.
it's so crazy you say my son's a designer in New York. He worked at Kenneth Cole, Steve Madden. He's mentored by this Jeff Henderson who mentors up and come. Well, now he's not up and coming. He's made it in that industry. But he told me how when they were doing the Yeezy 350s, they do all these shoes like Kanye. And he said to me,
Right.
Mom, I watched you be in studios for 15 hours, little kid waiting for me. And he said, the process you used is exactly the process he used in design of shoes. He said, I learned it and saw it so young. So when I saw this creative way you operate with getting on the mic, recording ideas, being able to work 10, 12 hours straight, he said, I grind easy because I saw that my whole life. So that's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. The grind is I know the kids start there, but the grind is everything. I
Wow.
mean, your consistency to the hard work and having the faith that it's going to happen. And as you're doing it, having faith, guess what? I had to do other things to make stuff happen.
Right.
I just couldn't sit in that room 13 hours without making no money.
Right.
Okay. So I had to do sessions. I had to go on the road. I had to go do this and that. I mean, I had to work in order to afford myself
Right.
the luxury of putting that type of work in.
Correct.
So just doing music, no. I don't know no one musician that could just do music unless
Exactly. And
they
I'm
are
not,
the
and
baddest cat.
I
I
yeah.
do everything. I wear many hats. I call it spinning tops.
So
So,
before we get out of here, there's something I want to ask you about bringing it because you talk a lot about today. You're one of the few artists that I talk to, producers with that history, who really finds a way to support, promote, elevate, and compliment young artists. Because a lot of people, when we get a certain age, oh, back in the good old days, we know the good old days was good. And I use it based on something that happened yesterday. 3 years ago, I was with Randy Hall. I was at Spring Fling out in Alabama. And the
mm-hmm,
promoter said, you're gonna get you're already top 30, so I got you on this festival. I need you and Randy to go out. Southern Soul, I don't know. He
mm-hmm.
said, Terry, your voice will be fine. I said, but what kind of records I'm gonna need? I have no back. This was 2022. I have no background for this. You know what I'll do? I'll just grab me a bit of Clean Up Woman, and then I'll splice it into my R&B record, and that's how I'm gonna come out. Me and Randy got out there, did our song, and I said, what on earth is going? This is my nose told me that day. I was sitting next to Jeter Jones. Tucker was on stage. Howard Hewitt was there because we know each other from before. And all of a
Okay,
sudden,
yeah.
yeah, I said, this is going to work and people are going to sleep it. This is going to be black people going back to being really black. Just un unapologetically grabbing a wine cooler, got a whole, and it was love, man. This festival had 40, they expected 25, there was 40,000 there in a big field.
Woo,
And I said to
40.
Randy, this is going to work. he took off a little earlier, and then we still, I stayed a little while and said, met all kind of artists. It wasn't how people didn't look a certain way, they didn't dress a certain way. But going back to how you celebrated artists, I saw Beyonce performing Boots on the Ground at her
Mhm.
show. And I said, I knew these cats, like I've been hearing it for 2 years. And I said, when I dropped Two Wrongs Don't Make a Right, that's my new single, I was
Yeah.
not thinking that anybody will care. I just said, I want to sound like Dorothy Moore. Like that's my favorite artist. And if somebody,
Right.
that's the songs I always meant to, took me 33 years to sing soul because I do a lot of whatever. But it was reminding me
Mm.
of what you said, as all these kids ain't got no major label behind them. Everybody's playing that record and stumping around after all the stuff we went through with our election and all these things. People just want to have feel good for a few minutes. So Michelle Obama and Oprah and all the people doing, and Kamala Harris, they all doing boots on the ground. These cats are not able to get really record play on urban radio. And they're like, okay, whatever. So this is
Right.
when you start to be so stuck on the old formula. And we know how that record industry works, that you don't really realize that it's changing. Like you talked about AI, and you've never done that. Why were you able to remain so in touch and still holding on to the history, but you always, from what I've seen, could always move with the times?
Well, let me tell you, having children
Oh,
will keep you in the
amen.
mix. And I have one of my daughters that is the internet queen, YN, that was she has her own podcast, Raise It Up Y, and she's the most internet savvy of everyone. Everybody is their internet thing, but she's like on another page
Hmm.
where she can throw a birthday party, a local birthday party, and have people fly in from the East Coast for one day to come hang out with her.
Wow.
Okay. So my kids keep me informed. They know I'll dog them and talk about them, and
Right.
I'm not the guy that goes, "Oh yeah, well, y'all got the answer." But at the same time, they do have part of the equation of the answer. The part that I was talking about, you just can't do one thing.
Correct.
Sometimes they don't have that part, and you give credence to the whole spending your time on one thing when you got to spend tops on five things. And this is the lesson that we all have to end up learning. But
Hmm.
in terms of staying current, like I said, Miles Davis, that was my influence. So if I'm still, I mean, I get brought up in interviews about Let's Groove, but when somebody meets me, they'll find out I did Let's Groove like a year after they met me.
True.
It never will come up in conversation.
Right.
I don't talk about what I did. I talk about what I'm about to do or what
That's
I'm
right.
doing
When I
in
met
the
you,
moment.
exactly what you did. I knew about you performing and still being out there getting ready for some shows with one, featuring and doing different things that you were doing. And I'm just like, what we are the as we age and we grow, I just say you're gone when you're gone. What I loved about you, the way you take time to barbecue and cook out, have family time, it stuck with me. That first conversation stuck with me in a way which you cannot. I'm a real. This, if you meet me, if I'm over at the house, it's gonna be the same. It's gonna be, yo, what?
That's
And
what,
and
yeah.
and, and a lot of times people would not let me meet. I know it now. I didn't know it then. They wouldn't bring my energy around people because it might make them not get something, but I wasn't aware of that. So I would just go help everybody. Oh, let me help you get on. And at the end, they would just move on. I go, I'm not doing something right here. What is it, Terry? The old business is still the best school. I feel like some people really miss out when they did not come through, say, 60, 65 through 78, 88. Because
It's a
after,
lot of things. Yeah, a lot of things that are missed, and a lot of things that are missed. And You are so correct. And at the same time, there's a lot of things, like you say, of this new generation, of this
Mm-hmm.
new way of
Yep.
doing the business. I get caught up. I mean, I get sometimes so pissed off with the computer not doing what I told it to do. I go
Like,
back, I go back into, can I just have my 24 track? I hit record,
exactly.
microphone, done. I ain't gotta mess with it. I ain't gotta edit. I ain't gotta do
Or
none of that.
or
It's
you just lost everything. Power outage. I forgot to save it. You was talking and having a cocktail and you forgot to save. So everything's
yeah,
gone.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I just think that you're a treasure. And like so many that I've come to know, me and Gene Carn and I are gonna hang out in like 2 weeks. I don't know why
Oh,
God allowed me before I leave this planet to be able to say, because I followed men groups because my voice was so low. So
mm,
I was following Lionel Richie as a kid, and Ray Parker can sing higher than I can. Like it's a mess.
yeah.
But I knew as a writer, we had the money to do all those things, to get lessons. My dad was military. I went to 9 schools in 12 years, and I still
Woo.
got back to music. I still hustle, went in those clubs, and like meeting you, meeting Gene, meeting HB, talking to him for hours, like it means God just kind of. The first song my father played for me in 1977 or 8, there was a song called Flowers. And that song came on, and then came Denise Williams Free. So they were in the same somehow
Yeah.
year. And he gave my ear the training that would last a lifetime. And
Yeah.
Dorothy Moore, Misty Blue. So I'm trying, after 30 years, I've been trying to get back there the whole time. I said, I cannot leave this planet not being that kind of black, not that artist,
Wow.
because we say different things in lyrically that I cannot say. I wrote the last song was about cheating. It was about two wrongs don't make a right.
Right.
And I wrote it without pretty much writing the lyrics down. And it made me think of always putting myself in adult situations and what people go through. And they're like, oh, it doesn't have to be my life. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm just saying I'm very accurate about what I'm writing about. And I know that's what generations bring to the other generations, to the newer. They can take from us and then rework it, remix it, and then they have what they have.
Yeah, you mentioned Jean. She was on a record label called Black Jazz Records. That was the first label I ever recorded on
Wow.
with a group called Ron Jefferson and Vuzette Swing. She was with Doug and Gene Carn.
Wow.
That was her husband.
Yes, I know about him.
Um, Calvin Keys, Kelly Patterson. If it don't fit, don't force it.
If it don't fit, don't force it. Just oh God, you're getting down. That's one for the Southern Soul Festival. Man, we all we're doing is
Honey.
going back. I feel like right now we're going back. That's what Southern Soul is all. All Southern Soul is a soul.
Well, that's why you
That's all
have,
it is.
they just did that big concert um, here on the 31st of August last year at the SoFi where the LA Rams play. Everybody and their mama was on that show.
Right.
It was Gladys Knight,
My favorite.
Diana Ross, Lionel Richie, Nile Rodgers, Charlie Wilson,
Wow.
Smokey Robinson, Al Green, The Emotion,
That's all we want. That's all we want. Like,
Shalimar.
oh,
Um, wait a minute. I can go on and on and on. You can just name any group. Um, all those groups was on
but then
one
here's my
show.
question for you.
Mm.
Based on, and this is going to be the part of today's music. Other than Beyonce, Adele, and I can give you a few more, maybe Lizzo and Money Long, how many of these artists can come back as a collective group like that and play that many hits? Taylor Swift, she'll do her own thing, but it won't be something about radio before we went to online, only listening to one playlist. We had to know Journey. You had to know Steve Perry and Creedence Clearwater Revival. I watched the Doobie
Hmm.
Brothers the other night. I was watching.
Yeah.
I felt like listening to Michael McDonald, and
Well,
not
speaking
and
of a doobie, I mean, no, that's a whole other name.
oh my God,
A doobie. Okay,
we
hold
know
on. I'm
exactly what
sorry.
you're talking about. So,
You
what are you
know,
doing this afternoon after you leave this? After we stop
well,
talking,
like I said, my granddaughter has FaceTime me, so I gotta hit her.
2 years
Um,
old. She like that little
2 years
tiny thing with
old.
the boots on the ground. I don't forgot her name. She's like 1 years old and doing some boots on the ground. I said, get
Hey,
out of
hey, hey,
here.
these kids are. We already wrote a song for her called "Get It, Girl,"
Get it.
and 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 when she gets it, she almost starts twerking.
No, no,
It's like,
no.
and she doesn't know nothing about it. This is when we first was out on the outdoor front patio. It's all porcelain tile on the floor. When the sun sets, it warms up
Mhm.
to a high temperature, and she loves to lay on that porcelain. My grandson and she love to get. It's like real warm. It's like
Oh.
envelope in the body, and they just get on it. Just
But
oh,
see what you see
but
what all of this journey has led you to have this moment. It's priceless. Like that we
priceless.
can still breathe. And like you said, after I talked to you that one time about going up in the mountains, like, and I always get my physical time in. Since I saw you, I probably
Yeah.
dropped about 14 kilos.
Woo! Get down,
Yeah,
girl.
these when I go places, those boys be like, "Hey, Miss Terry," I'll be like, "Got a few more to go. Don't get wet."
Yeah, don't get it twisted. Well,
But
I'm just
but
trying
I
to
feel good.
maintain.
Just
That's
you
what
got to
you
just
do.
feel going and being physically active, which has nothing to do with this interview, is just good for your soul.
Good for your soul. And
I
that has
think about
everything to do.
music. I organize this business in my head.
Yes,
That's where I
yes, you
do all of that.
organize.
Yep.
It's a very nice. And then I'm looking at red-tailed hawks. The other day, I'm coming down a mountain and a silver fox goes across. I'm
Ooh.
like, oh, where you come from? Then here's some deer over here. Then the possums and raccoons and everything. Now I'm coming down at night sometime, and these big owls. I mean, they're like a cat
Jesus,
with
I've
wings.
seen that. Those things are scary out there in LA. I saw them.
Oh no,
Wayne,
they're
what's
big.
before we get ready to get up out of here? What's coming
Mm.
next? What's still going on? I knew you had some stuff going on. Before we say goodbye and let people know where they can check out you,
Well,
Wanda, the crew, Emotions, you
the
with Earth, Wind, and
crew
Fire, whatever you got going
is
on.
is everything. We are continuing the journey. I'm in the studio right now, and I have another. Well, here's the thing. Like you were saying, the new paradigm, the new way of doing stuff. So I'm never going to try to record a whole album's worth of songs
Mm-mm.
again,
No.
one at a time.
Yes.
And I have one at a time that it's something that I really don't do often, but it's sort of gospel contemporary. So this song would be Miles
Mm.
and a Parliament with an Aretha Franklin kind of thing with the gospel sounding vocals. It's called Faith,
Wow.
and
That sounds
it's
like a
talking of.
soundtrack. That sounds like a soundtrack
Wait a minute,
song.
it is, but it's so cold. But the key is I'm not trying to make it a hit. Number one, I will not try to make a hit ever again, and it's funky, but it's a little distant.
Right.
And I have a muted trumpet. That's what meant remind me of Miles, but it's
Mm.
like it's playing a major chord against a minor chord,
Wow.
if you can get that. So it's major and minor at the same time, but it's funky.
I
And
cannot wait.
I'm like, oh.
You oh
So
you are.
yeah, because it just came out like you said, one of those days up in the mountains.
Yeah, that's where you
And
do a lot
so
of your
I do most of my
calculations. Yeah.
writing. I do most of my writing in the mountains. And I use my iPhone like
See.
like a tape recorder. I mean, it's more than that. My voice notes, it's worth like 20 grand to me, way more than
Mm.
the phone. But Wanda heard the tune and she started putting her little thing. We haven't even laid the vocals or nothing
Oh
on it.
wow.
But Wanda actually, I saw a little, oh, honey. So she got a little
Mhm.
excited. So
When I all I do is start my day, I got a playlist. It has like all these songs. And Flowers, when my dad played that, I must have been 11. And he
wow.
played it because he was a Marantz. We were overseas in Germany. He said, I need you to understand music doesn't have color. So I want to introduce you to a lot of different music, rock. He was a Herbie Hancock, Miles
Oh yeah.
Davis. We'd hear Bach, Beethoven,
Oh
Strauss.
yeah.
And then he played, the normal. He wasn't a prince. Like he wasn't at that point, he was kind of sticking to his jazz, and Chuck Mangione was one of his.
Oh
But
yeah.
Flowers, he loved this kind of voices. And I was like, "Ooh, that's how I need to sing." And then my sister said, "Please stop. You sound horrible. Go to the range that you got. You are not Denise Williams." Everybody kept trying to get me to sing silly. Silly of me. How you gonna sing silly when you sound like Dracula? That ain't gonna work. But
No, no, you sound great, baby. Don't
we
even get
just
it twisted.
but I
You got
cannot
that
wait to come
Stone
out to
Street.
LA. I told the
Well, when
weather
you
girls because
do,
she from San Francisco. She from out there with Raphael Sadiq and them. I said we're gonna go. We're gonna do LA. We're gonna do down in the Bay. We're gonna do that whole stretch because
well,
I'm
you got
long overdue.
LA, you got San Diego, you got San Francisco. You got to stop in Santa Barbara,
Ooh,
uh, San Luis Obispo. They got some sulfur hot springs that are just so
mm.
therapeutic. You got a Big Sur coming down from San Francisco. Go to Big Sur
Wow,
because the first waterfall I ever seen fall into the ocean was in Brazil.
wow.
I didn't know we had that right here in California.
Nope. I
California
love Brazil.
is
Mhm.
California is like it's one of the coldest spots on the planet.
It
And I
is.
thought I could live different places, but I can only live here because I'm spoiled. I go to the mountains and ski same day I'm at the beach.
See what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
everybody, first of all, I need to make sure I say thank you, Wayne Vaughn, an icon. You are an iconic category. So
I don't know
and
about
you the
that.
most down to earth, the most down to earth, cool cat, cold cat. You like cold and cool. You both. And that we got to know each other was kind of like kismet because Tamash put us together, a
Yes,
Hungarian guy
Tomas.
who I helped
Yeah.
with something absolutely different. That's called universe energy. I know you believe in that. I truly believe in
Yeah.
it. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart because for me this is like this is gonna be my dictionary of amazing artists that just people can learn from, but also see the humanity that we all possess that doesn't come out
Well,
in a record.
yeah, it doesn't. And it's lifestyle,
Yeah,
you know. It's lifestyle where we come from because I respect the janitor to the CEO, you
exactly.
know.
Yeah,
It's like everybody's contributing something.
yeah. So thank you so much. I am going to make sure that I let you know when we have it up and running. And I appreciate you being a part of. I'm very selective about what I'm doing. I don't do every week a podcast. I really wait. I don't care if people are calling me. Do you have? I do it when I find a collection of people that now I think, okay, these stories I want to tell. Gene's story got to be, and
Right,
collectively
right,
people can just
exactly.
check it out. I don't care if one person streams it or 5 billion. I care that people get to know the human being behind the craft, behind the song. Music business is just a business for some people, but for me, it's everything I breathe music every single
Breathe
day,
it,
and you do
live
too.
it, and love it. I
That's
mean,
it.
and love it. So
Thank you so
Terry,
much.
I'm honored that you would even consider. I mean,
Cut
you know,
it
after
out.
that, but
No, no, you
come
could.
on.
The thing is, when we first met, that whole barbecue grill setup and the way I said, this cat is insane. Like the whole what you do on a morning basis. For me, it's not only about music, it's also the humanity of who we are. That's what is behind the artist to come up with the lyrics and the melody for. Da, do, da, dum, da, da, dum, da. I learned it. I don't play an instrument, but I know every note that Prince played on For You, the song.
Yeah.
And that's
Hey,
how I
you were talking
learned to
about
be a
Brent.
musician. And someone
Go
said to
back and
me,
listen.
yeah, so how can you figure that out? Because I learned
Hey,
every note.
go back and listen to Ballad of Dorothy Parker.
Oh, I know that song.
You know that song?
I do.
That was that was a that was a cold one. Dorothy was a waitress on the promenade. She worked